I'm taken aback three different levels. Firstly, for the hospitality by Margaret and Carol this afternoon. I haven't had that kind of shown to me in a long time. We went for a tour of downtown Ottawa, and then to have some shepherd's pie afterwards. And also, thank you for that very kind and kind intro. And also, I'm taken aback by Rhonda's poetry. It left me stunned. I haven't been wrapped with attention for 20 minutes in a long time. And I think I have big shoes to fill. Anyways, I'll do my best. I will read a few from my book of poetry, which was and is about basically the need for travel and movement, and also the need for comfort, which the poem "Thirtysomething" that Margaret quoted deals with. I'll just read a couple from here, then I'd like to read some from my new manuscript as well. I'll just read a short one and a longer one. I travel a lot in Canada in the last few years, and the only way I can travel extensively is by camping everywhere. Everywhere and anywhere. This is called Campsite 76. The tent wants to talk about your life. What are you doing here at your age? But you lie so willfully against the unforgiving earth that even the stars want out of the discussion and stare blankly ahead. The trees shuffle their leaves uncomfortably. The tent takes a breath, then sighs, not quite sure how it's going to bring this up. RV park and campground. I think the most of the campgrounds across Canada give themselves the name campground under dubious circumstances. Most of them are RV parks. And this has been basically a general experience that we've had regardless of where we've stayed. Someone is burning garbage. The smoke comes in acrid waves. Lisa holds her breath and applies off spray as liberally as sunblock, and I hold my nose as I try to test the pasta sauce in the simmering pot, balanced on a little Coleman burner that rests on a little propane canister at the very edge of the picnic table that wobbles every time one of us swats a mosquito. Kids ogle us from big wheels like orangutans at a circus, chewing on Mr. Freezies the size of Cuban cigars, sizing up our two-man tent pitched on this gravel drive, while two old men in office socks and sandals fart and grumble on wooden benches. And a 300-pound lady with spindly legs sips of a can of blue and scribbles in her diary, as proud as the 10-year-old shouting to his grandma from high up on a branch, "You can't find me! You can't find me!" Grandma smiles in her lawn chair and whispers old as the trees that serve as a fence between here, where fathers sing in the concrete showers with their baby boys, and the golf course next door, where adults in pastel blue drink brandy from finger-sized bottles, tilting their heads skywards as the colors drain like the last swallow of peach snaps at a grade 8 dance. A place where no one wants to be, but when all they've got are homemade haircuts and lingering highs, all they have are the recklessness to say, "What the hell are you looking at?" Oops. Read one more from my book, and then I will finish with it at the end of my reading. Michelangelo. Michelangelo got it right when he snuck in one night and chiseled his name across the Virgin's chest to mark her as his own. And he got it right when he made David out of stone, with the lips of a poet, the chest of a bully, the shoulders of a slave, and the hands of a killer. A simple assortment of abilities to get us from here to there. With Samson, it was about swinging a jawbone. With Martin Luther King Jr., it was about uncurling a fist. With Mahatma Gandhi, it was about not moving at all. And with me, for now, it's about lying here with you. And you will whisper yes and nod your head into my neck. I am as still as stone, as you shudder slightly into sleep, your one fingernail secretly trying to chisel your name across my chest. The next pieces I'm reading are from my new manuscript, and in this manuscript, I have taken dream experiences and reinterpreted them through traditional poetry forms. For example, the haiku, the paradel, the recoulement, and the elegy. This one is called The Visible World, and it is a form of Japanese long poem called it's a series of katwara. The Visible World. In Dad's Cadillac, frost covers the visible world. I can't see it, but this is my old neighborhood, prior to the mini-mansions. Can't see it, but each house is a pillbox on Goose Down, and there's an attic under each pine, bent by snow. And there's me, tracing my finger, the white drive, the garden gate, Jamaicans playing there. I am a ghost at the glass, a family, a happiness born from fire. This was once my home. Hot chocolate in a paper cup. No one's cleared the snow year on year, yet they play. Their smiles are June nights cupped in my hands. Look, and you can't believe it's 9 already. Can't see it. How there's no anger here. These people, the light, the heat, then come the stars. The following is a paradel. The form was originally made as a joke by, and I'm probably going to get his name wrong because I haven't had enough coffee today, Billy Connolly, and I'm probably getting confused with the comedian, which I'm sure I just did, and he did it as a joke to make fun of the strict, the rules involved in traditional form. And what had happened is it actually got published, and people started writing to him, critiquing his work, and not just the poem, but they were giving him advice on how to write a better paradel. And I've taken that form and applied it to one of my more, what do you want to call it, unusual dreams. It's called Here on Mercury, a paradel for anxious dreams. Ride to my classroom on your pink BMX, Dad. Ride to my classroom on your pink BMX, Dad. Let my students know you stole it, Dad. Let my students know you stole it, Dad. Dad! My students stole my pink classroom. Let it ride to you, Dad. Know your BMX. Out of booze on a plane of kimono-clad Koreans. Out of booze on a plane of kimono-clad Koreans, while the naked girl in the kiss poster gets tangled in my legs. While the naked girl in the kiss poster gets tangled in my legs. Gets in, out of the tangled plane of booze, in, while the Korean's poster legs on a kimono-clad girl, my naked kiss. Here on Mercury, we don't get out much, girl. Here on Mercury, we don't get out much, girl. The planet burns our skin like a weekend barbecue. The planet burns our skin like a weekend barbecue. Our weekend out burns the planet like a barbecue on Mercury. We don't get much girl skin here. On your legs, Koreans. Get out the plane. Kiss it, poster girl. Dad, while you tangled much of our planet, a girl clad in a kimono stole my ride. Here, we don't let Mercury know a weekend. In pink, out of booze, my students like to barbecue my naked skin. The classroom burns. Dad gets out the BMX. This is called Returning to the Fold. It's my dream about Christopher Hitchens, or the death of Christopher Hitchens. It's another series of Quechua. Emaciated, he lies there, sipping aged scotch from a plastic cup. Christopher Hitchens, distilled to a pale blue dot. He thinks about the young man he was before this. The glacial hospital whites remind him. Their expanses indifferent but hungry for the next to slip between their dark, crevassed folds. Christopher Hitchens speaks coyly of his young self and the feel of coarse white fur on his cheek, the first time he wrestled with his angel. She wouldn't listen, he says. Such fangs. I guess I wouldn't either. He smiles, thinks about the heft of her faith, how good it felt on his back, how satisfying it was to twist it against her. An adult angel weighs half a ton, he says, with 6-inch claws, and is known to hunt man. Weak smile. You think on that the next time you're tempted to confront yours. Christopher Hitchens, half covered in Arctic sky, lies in wait. Nothing gets me going like hatred, he thinks. Christopher Hitchens, distilled to a sharp blue point, awaits his first love. While I was recording my dreams, I've had a few that I've actually somehow managed. I don't know if it's happening, but I dreamt 2 dreams at the same time, and they kind of overlapped. And the only way I could find trying to kind of convey the experience was by modifying an Alexandrine. And I kind of coined the phrase Siamese Alexandrine. And this is the second one of the 2 that I had in the 3 years where I was recording my dreams. 2 girls are night swimming, cream in black kitchen cups, spreading warmth from bare toes. Stiff old hands stir the stuff to the storm's cool shadow, while light sinks down the wall. Rivers are the moon's roots, florals that speak for all, the wild waiting below the years, the common sense to fuck when there's a chance to roll up your clean pants in a catastrophe, when your floor is a lake teeming with mouths, their tongues, and you sitting plank straight, savoring each secret. I'm going to move now from dream experiences to what I call ailments and afflictions. And one of my afflictions is actually a reoccurring dream I have. And in research, I found out that this actually has been documented. And one of the names for this type of dream is called the old hag. And it's where you are half awake and half asleep, lying in your bed, and you feel a presence in the room. And it's not a particularly benevolent presence. And I used recoulement to kind of interpret this experience. The poem is titled "The Old Hag." Be calm, dear body. You cannot struggle. Half drawn from sleep, you remain stone, brittle. Your arms are fragments, legs at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, and standing razor perfect at the foot of your bed is neither your wife nor your father. Scream and the dust mites may hear you. Your lungs are old rooms where the paint peels, your throat a broken door. Coming closer to you is neither your daughter nor a neighbor, rather an opening in your hatred, an eye full of teeth, your breath through a keyhole as it approaches, touches along your rib cage. Never mind what they say. Hatred is patient. Hatred is kind enough to stand at your side, caress the flesh where your shoulder meets your neck, somewhere far away in the cupboard next to a kitchen sink, your ring finger twitches in a sugar bowl. My next affliction is tinnitus. For those of you who don't know what tinnitus is, it is a continual buzzing in your ears during your entire waking span of the day. It goes, eventually when you're sleeping you don't hear it, but as soon as you wake up, it's right there to meet you. And it's basically, it doesn't stop. And for some people it's a mild buzz, for others it's a lot worse. And where this poem originated was that I learned that they have theorized that Van Gogh suffered from tinnitus, a rather catastrophic form of it. If only for a little relief. Not that removing the ear would have done him any good. Sufferers have been known to chisel holes in their heads for a little respite from the crickets, millions of them shrieking under the ice. He gives the severed part of himself to a girl named Rachel, tells her, "Keep this object carefully," the stone in the palm of a hand long severed from the wrist. And this is its voice, that which normally escapes sound, something malevolent forced through a pipe meters below, and on particularly rough days, it is a blistering auditory sunburn that only the rain flooding a tin roof can soothe. The incision was diagonal, from the front near the top, back, and down through the fleshy middle. I think about this, and I hear paper slowly being torn, which, by the way, sounds a lot like rain. Quantum. I want to. I want to know more about this. I want to examine the things, the points, each one. Let's pretend that one of them is Dawn. And in this instance, Dawn is a bullet, a crown of lead. I want to, though. Dawn doesn't care. It knows what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong. Every morning you are the morsel under the napkin, and she is out to get you, your daughter. She does this her unknowing best to interpret the pine cones and pebbles as laughter. Really though, she does this. You find them everywhere, every morning. Yes, sweetie, I am under the napkin. I am being nudged off the table. This isn't your fault. I may have been 15 times your age once, patronizing a deeply varnished bar room, and more than a little drunk. The guy next to me had just quoted Thoreau when he regarded me, as if for the first time, and said, "Look, buddy, I have no idea what the story is between you and your dad. I'm just saying is all. Drunkenness is a fair substitute for brittle rages, and there may have been something eatable and desperate in my face that night, and the old guy could have been the deer hunter, holding a bullet to my eye saying, 'This is this.' And so what? I want to. Our worst memories spring from careless decisions. Our best, those turquoise lagoons, arise from the same spurious points of origin. And so what? This is this. The unsung bullet held by De Niro. This is Dawn, the thing, the point, the leaden glow of trillions that couldn't care less about what I know, what I become, a world beater or pine cone. None are wrong, all is fair, such are the atoms." I was going to read some nice poems about my daughter, but I actually only brought like one negative one. I was like, oh man, I wanted to, I have like, several nice benevolent ones. But this is I just happened to just bring one called Curse. Anyways, when we first approach the language of our parents, we do so in a way we would the morning after a loss, waking to a sadness prior to its origins. Wonder in those seconds, the light on the table, what is it that has happened? So accustomed are we to rolling our eyes when mom fusses, or obliging dad with questions, that we don't really see it coming when our own little one first pulls away from us. We bend like old hinges. The lid no longer sits right on what was a perfect jewelry box. We don't immediately sense it, the flaw, but for the pull in our throats. And when she finally cries out, "It's not you I want," do we understand it? The grammar of this soft curse born in us, uttering itself through our own children, that we run when pursued, that we'll never love this much. I'm just going to read a few more, two more actually. I'll finish with the piece in the book. I'm approaching a 40-something poem. I don't know if this is it. This is called Evolving Seaside. It begins with two quotes from one from Steve Coogan and one from Fernando Pessoa. There's a bit of a little difference between the two. Everything is exhausting when you're past 40. Everything is exhausting in our age. Steve Coogan. What we see isn't what we see, but what we are. Fernando Pessoa. Evolving Seaside. I am water lapping under a dock. I am the dock. I am also the fishing boats and the fish squirming against the nets. I am the otters as well, the sun in the blue sky and the clouds, the weeks they are clouds. I am the weeks as they exist in the mere seconds of this weary transmutation. I am older. I have a BlackBerry with a selection of morning alarm sounds, and I refuse to buy an iPhone. I don't want to sell my house, even though heavy trucks rattle my windows at night, and just the other day I had to call the police for one of my neighbors. Someone was stealing the empties right off her front porch. My neighbor has the build of a bulldog and was furious, and the beer can thief was lanky and fragile, but what can you do? This week's beer can is next week's garden gnome, as they say. The sad little that you have is you, right down to the rattle of the last Tylenol. Waking at my age is the process of someone quietly stealing the roof off my house. I lie there, victimizer and victim, not quite the pebbled beach I had hoped, the snooze button rocking under my finger like a wet stone. I'm going to finish with the piece that Margaret quoted, and it's called Thirtysomething, and this was dedicated to a friend of mine, Jacob Shire. When he was in his 20s, we were at an after-hours party, and he approached me, bemoaning the fact that all of his 30-year-old friends were selling out, giving up, getting married, acquiring mortgages, and whatnot. And I had no answer for him at the time, but I did manage to scribble something down a couple of weeks later and give it to him. And he has since written a response, and I think we plan to keep doing this every decade. We always seem to be a decade apart. Just give me a moment, I apologize. There we go, what page number is that? Page 43. 30-something to Jacob. I now refer to teenagers as punks. Modern music is all the same garbage, and 20-somethings as romantically masochistic. Lately, Jacob, trying on secondhand jeans that Courage My Love feels like sitting on a warm toilet seat in a public bathroom. I don't know why, but it's probably the reason my house reeks of IKEA now. A mixture of pine, polyurethane, and sugared gilt. Afghans sewn by Swedish virgins. And bookshelves the color of affluent wooden dentures appropriated from the wealthy mouths of our forefathers. Proudly displaying my dusty, dog-eared social, political, historical dissertations and a dark, growing mass of pulp horror. This is not a dumbing down, Jacob. It's just that when I've spent the day swinging from a ladder, wishing death upon the squirrels digging under my eaves trough, Stephen King speaks to me in a way that Jacques Derrida, Noam Chomsky, or Jared Diamond can't. The people at Home Depot run when they see me, Jacob. My sponsored child, finger in her nose, peers at me from her dirt village in Kenya. The coffee from her country tastes like spiced earth. And yes, I am aware of this awful arrangement, just as I am aware of the sunflower heads that I keep in tap water and how they droop over the mouth of the Chinese fertility base like tragic street lamps. They're beautiful, Jacob. And I'm beginning to need a little comfort now and then, the occasional taste of bliss. I can never understand my father's fascination with hee-haw, nor my mother's obsession with gaudy ornaments. But when I was 24, I went to a communist cell meeting at Ossington and Bloor to find no garbanzos, no angels or sentiment, just a Spanish cross-dresser railing against his parents. There should have been a manual for being a 30-something, Jacob, much like the sex ed handouts we got in grade 6, but with more unwanted hair and tips on how to hide internet porn from your wife, how to use a caulking gun without making a sticky mess, and how to cope with the realization that despite Billy Corgan's rage, we're headed for tea cozies, Werther's candies, and purses filled with warm pennies. Jacob, I must tell you that when I sat in a heated leather bucket seat last week, I swear I found heaven dawning along my spine. Thank you very much.